Hey everyone, it's been a little while. I'm technically supposed to still be on my 6-month break from YouTube, but Jake and I are moving in less than 3 weeks at this point, and I've been decluttering a lot. And don't worry, I'll fill you all about the move and what's coming up in a future video, but I figured, I'm doing all this decluttering. Why not film some and just take you along in the process? Because we're honestly being even more ruthless than we've been before and really trying to make everything as optimized as possible and just make the most intentional choices prior to moving. So I thought I'd walk you through the things I still have. Now, this is actually the second round of decluttering. We'll be preparing to donate this stuff tomorrow. I had already gone through some stuff before in my first round, and unfortunately that won't be able to be shared with you, but it was already the first phase of it. But without further ado, I've got it all gathered around me here, so let's begin. First things first, this is just the symbolic aspect, but you might recognize these pieces in addition to the others that I'm not showing on camera right now as part of my background for a lot of videos here. And the truth is I do really love these pieces. However, with this move, we're trying to be very intentional, and the space is truly some of the most beautiful, living areas I've ever seen. And so, although I really like these, I think they would detract from the beauty of the new space. And so I feel very pleased to have had these in my background, but it's also a lot of nails to put in the wall, and it's tough to keep them perfectly straight and aligned with one another. So these will be donated. We are decluttering this globe here. It was more of a prop than actually, something we would use, and not necessarily something we need to bring in, especially for how big it is, for how little value it adds. A few random expired food items that we just weren't a fan of or forgot about in the case of this mint extract. They all expired in 2022. Certain foods, maybe the expiration date's not as much of an issue. For us, in this case, it's more that we just didn't like them or didn't use them. So these will be disposed of. These were some pan covers to prevent pans from scratching each other when they're stacked up upon one another. However, in our first round, we actually let go of one of the pans that was stacked, so we don't need these covers anymore. These are some extra set of playing cards that we had while teaching, just for if kids were done and wanted to play cards or something. The truth is they are all mixed up and a mess, and I believe they were probably only about $1 per set. So I do plan on disposing of these. We decided to keep 4 other sets of cards that are more in their set, so they're actually useful. This would be a major sorting challenge, and it's not worth the time. I'm decluttering this pair of flip-flops, and I did sanitize them and wash them before donation. These little weights here are just a representation of a set of weights we are decluttering. Our home gym or local gym options will be greatly improved with the move, and so we've realized we're not using this set. And there's other weights too. Some of them we've already given to others, but there's 3s, 5s, and 8s that no one wanted because they were pretty small. So these will be donated. Jake went through and wants to donate his chess set from high school. This is giant and very heavy, but this Atlas of the World will be donated. Now, my initial thought, especially since we run our Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies business, creating social studies resources for teachers, was that I could use this to help me with certain resources. And also, I've in the past taken an old atlas and made really cool sort of decorative or craft sort of elements from the map pages with an old atlas. But the truth is I just haven't needed to do that. And this has kind of just sat around for 2 years. So it's really nice. I mean, it's very heavy. So I think this could be potentially helpful to someone else if they like it as a coffee table book or, who's really into this stuff. So it's also just really heavy. So it'll be nice to get rid of it. This is all pretty random, but some of this is gift wrap things or little scrapbook things. My mom was helping one of her friends downsize and declutter, and so again I thought maybe this would have a helpful role in our business in some way, but the truth is haven't touched it in years, so we are getting rid of this stuff too. This little container came part of a soap brush thing and the little dispenser, and the idea is you can reuse it as something else, but I just don't have a need for it, so we're going to donate it. these two little plates or saucers. I actually had purchased them back in the day when I was working on my cookbook, back when I wanted that to be part of my business or part of my focus. And I got them because you could have a smaller portion of food on the plate for the food photography, and like it was just a smaller scale, but we don't use them anymore, so I'm gonna be getting rid of them. This is also something we're getting rid of. This is glass, and the truth is we did use it a decent amount, but that was mostly because we didn't have another option that worked. But over time we have gotten a few containers that are a bit more useful and a more helpful shape. This is a little odd. I mean, at family gatherings have brought salads or pasta or dessert in this, but it's just not really what it's designed for. You make do with what you got to do, but we've moved on. Definitely no rhyme or reason to any of the stuff today that I'm decluttering in terms of the order. These were souvenirs from the Louisville Slugger Museum. Jake's kind of a big baseball fan, or at least was, and it was a cool tour to see how the bats were made, but then they gave everyone these, and again, we kind of thought that it would play a role in our future home, sort of have like a little baseball area set up, maybe with decor, but the truth is the home is just too classy for this kind of stuff, so we don't have a desire to keep it anymore. Here's just another one-off container. Honestly, don't know how we got it. We've had it for a while, but it's definitely lower quality. And we are going to be shifting back into trying to get pregnant again for the first time in like 3 years. And one of the things that's talked about in some of the books that I'm reading is really making sure you've got limited amounts of BPA or as limited as possible. And so plastic containers can potentially be an issue. And since this is a one-off and I don't know where it's from, I can't say with certainty what's in it. So we're being mindful of that as well. A couple reusable water bottles. These are our least favorite. They were both like promotional or like gift items. This one had a decal and it's completely gone. It's also plastic. And this one is an aluminum bottle, maybe insulated, I think, but it has kind of a sharper ridge, so definitely not as pleasant to drink from. So getting rid of these. Actually, here's that pan that we're getting rid of that's not so non-stick anymore in one of the non-stick or protector sheets here. Similar to those little bats, this is a Chicago White Sox flag that Jake had in his room as a child. The quality here is pretty low and it also takes up a lot of space. Once again, it doesn't really fit with where we're going and it doesn't add value to Jake anymore, so he let that go. This is an old folding music stand. I don't remember if this was from Jake or myself since we both had them when we were younger. The condition is still pretty decent, but the truth is for us, at home, if we do choose to get more involved in music, we would want a nicer stand than one of these. And, I think at this point, it's not worth saving something just for the hypothetical chance that, in 10 or 15 years, one of our kids needs it for music when, they're really not that expensive. So that is hopefully going to be helpful to someone else. Got this extra binder here. Back when I was really going full-time on my businesses, I got a set of 4 of these beautiful binders, and it's where I store a lot of the creations, like the ebooks I wrote and different challenges, course materials, resources, business tutorial guides that I've downloaded and used or taught myself different things. But I had this extra one, and I am not really filling those out as much anymore and not doing as much just with those kinds of materials. At this point, I'm mostly focused on my Mr. and Mrs. Social Studies business of the social studies materials. So I think with back to school season coming up, this will be much more helpful to someone else. We got a big stack of clothing here, but this is actually just a fraction of it. We had recently both of our families over and both of us had gotten rid of some stuff and had that clothing out. And actually our families took a lot of it, our siblings, their spouses. So I was surprised. We ended up letting go of about 15 items through them taking stuff. And then these were things I was pretty sure no one wanted or wasn't the right size for people. So decluttering these. And I think a lot of this too, many of these items actually I purchased recently, secondhand, one of our favorite secondhand shops, they don't have fitting rooms anymore, but they also have Half Price Monday, where everything in the thrift store is half price. So you're very much motivated to buy things, try them at home, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And so some of these didn't really get worn much because of that aspect. Or I brought them for one of our trips that we took where we needed some different climate materials or different just dress code sort of outfits. But in our regular lives, now that we're not traveling as much, not necessary anymore. So that's kind of a rationale. Honestly, about half of this came in my suitcase on our most recent trip, which I'll tell about in a future video. So we're letting that go. Here's another little jacket. This was actually something I had ordered off Poshmark when I was looking for a windbreaker and not finding things by me. I ended up finding one I liked better, actually, because I ordered 2 of them. Unfortunately, this one had a smoky smell that I couldn't get out. So that honestly was unfortunate, and also why I prefer purchasing things from local thrift shops if I can, just because there's a little more quality control. You can see it and determine if it's a good fit. So donating this. We're actually already almost done. This is another chess thing. This is a chess player scorebook that Jake wanted to get rid of. And then this was also just an extra reference book on American presidents. At this point in our business, we know that we don't want to really create much content around that. Not really center so much around people, but more so events and topics and different perspectives. So this is not going to be very helpful for us. So that wraps up the items I have around here, but we're actually also getting rid of some bigger furniture items. So we're getting rid of these red chairs. You saw me film in them quite frequently, but the quality is really low. They were basically passed not down to us, but passed through to us from multiple people. My mom was helping a friend downsize. She took the chairs, and then the chairs were supposed to go to my sister when she bought a house, but then the house was too small for them. So then my mom gave them to us, and we had intended to have them be kind of like in a fun movie room or something in the future. They worked out well for filming, but even just with a little bit of use, like 1 year of use, the material has already started to disintegrate, and it's just not worth bringing such poor quality into our new space. So we're hopefully someone will come to pick them up for free. I posted them online, and we've had some bites, but no one committing yet. We're also getting rid of these dressers. These are so heavy. They were from my grandparents' lake house, I believe. And it's not a family heirloom. I did check, so people don't really care what happens to them. They're just so heavy and out of date. Some of the drawers get a bit stuck. So again, trying to give those away for free as well. And this chair here, we've had through various moves. We actually bought it used for $50 at Goodwill back in 2014. And it just doesn't get enough use. I wish it had armrests. Now I know that. That's a priority. But when we first bought it, we're like, we need a chair. So that's also going. And I'm sure there will be some other things that come up that we choose to let go of as time goes on. But that is kind of where we're at for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was fun to kind of just pop back in here. There might be a few more videos coming in before my break is officially up and I come back more full-time in September, but I figured it was a good topic to pop in with, and I hope you've been well. I'm not going anywhere. It will just be, a little while till you see the next one. So stay tuned for what's next, and I'll put some other videos here if you have missed some of the other content in my absence. So we'll see you next time. Bye.